Frankly, there was a time in my life where we couldn't even get new shoes, or it was really hard. So I don't say it lightly when I say escape the rat race. But as someone who was so obsessed with finding money, I found that I lost myself. And why do you move to another country just to be glued to something? I'm not telling people to quit a job is the answer, because I still have one. But we're here on a Tuesday, and I found things that work for me, and that can be through freelancing, through side projects, through finding companies that are flexible, through good holidays, finding ways to meet people is important. And I think ultimately we can talk about it, if you want to know more about my story. But I think what applies to you is what applies to me. And that's, you just have to try.
Pack your bags. Not that bag. That one. You get ready to leave the big city that captivated your eyes to once move here because your friend Kris has picked a location that you've never been to before. Maybe you're reluctant to go at first because of work and you have a lot of stuff to do.
Or maybe you're excited to go.
And for those who don't know me, which is probably many of you at this point, my name is Josiah. I've lived in Japan for the past 3 years. I've done everything from being a salaryman, a student, a farmer, and even attending the Cannes Film Festival with the Japanese organization. And my goal is to share more about life here in Japan in a somewhat cinematic way. But for context about today, I grew up without a lot of money, and so a lot of my life has been chasing that, but also trying to stay true to myself. And that brings me to the topic that I want to discuss with you all today. There's that quote from The Matrix when the Oracle says to Neo, "You've already made the choice. You're just trying to figure out why you made it." And sometimes I'm reminded of that whenever I think about why I left my family back in the US, or why I left a comfortable tech job in LA. Sometimes we make choices and then question why we made them retrospectively. And that's not bad. I guess that's what I want to talk about, and that's why this video is called Another Side of Japan, on creativity and escaping the rat race.
Narai-Juku, which is like a village. I'm with David, also with Kris, Run and Gun Kris. I don't know if no one calls him that, but maybe I just call him that. But
next, we're gonna pivot to my friend Kris. He's from Japan and also from the UK, who has some interesting perspectives on what it's like working as a creative here. But you can kind of apply this to entrepreneurial ventures as well in a certain sense. So tune in for a little bit more of his story.
Dude, I love her. She's so cute. She's like this little grandma, and she has like examples of her posthumous husband's artwork, like her late husband's artwork, and she was like talking to me about that. I'm a videographer, filmmaker, and I mainly shoot live shows and festivals, but slowly want to get into commercial work, and I guess like all around creative. I just want to expand my portfolio and horizons and just experiment with different forms of video and photo. I think maybe creative direction. When work comes in, not that I tend to butt heads, but I think creatively, the heads of people hiring you tend to have like different visions to what you have. And sometimes it's cultural differences, sometimes it's just creative differences. But I think that just difference in general is the biggest hurdle. Sometimes you have to accept that they're hiring you and you just have to produce for them. And then if there's stuff that you want to do, then that's when you shoot for yourself in your portfolio. So sometimes I think the language barrier, despite being able to speak Japanese, there's still a bit of a language barrier. And I think it tends to feel, I don't want to say gatekeepy, but I think trying to, I guess, find those communities can be difficult. But I think that's why it's important to focus on what you're doing, and eventually you'll find people that are doing the same thing.
There was a time where I had to make a choice between courses that would be better for college and not. And because I had that lack of money, I just really felt like I couldn't see the value in choosing acting over being a good applicant to colleges. But I ended up building myself up to look good for an application, and I didn't really enjoy where that took me. And I was fortunate enough to go on exchange to Japan during college, and I really enjoyed my time, and I felt like this is a place I wanted to be. But here came that dilemma again, what I want to do for money versus my true desires. And if you don't solve that dilemma once, it's gonna keep presenting itself to you over and over again. So guess what I decided to do? I went to go get a corporate job with the degree that I got. I worked for Amazon in LA, which I was incredibly thankful for. But after doing that for around a year, I noticed I was just still ignoring what I really wanted to do, and that I only live once and that it's my life. So then I ended up moving to Japan, which was great for me a lot on the development side, but let's just be honest, I was working another 9 to 5. And a year went by in Japan where I was not pursuing my creative endeavors like before. That helped me realize like I'm still have this desire to be creative, and I wanted to use a camera to build the things that I wanted to see. So anytime that I had after work, I would just commit that to trying to make something, even if it was an hour, even if it was 30 minutes, or if it was 4 hours. Any sort of event I would go to and I would meet people, and I didn't think this would get me anywhere, but I ended up getting an opportunity to go to the Cannes Film Festival, which has started to just validate, like, I'm only putting in 10% to this, and this is giving me such a high return on life experiences, not necessarily money-wise. And that's where I kind of made the shift about why it's still important, no matter where you live or where you're at, to emphasize who you are. And creatively, that can be a camera, that can be your hobby, that can just even be starting a business. It doesn't have to be anything related to a camera, to acting. It's just like when you move to a new country, I know we want to focus so much, or a new environment, we want to focus so much on what we need. But it's so important to focus on and invest little times, even if possible, in things that you want to do. And so that's what's led me and how I've found a way to live a creative life in Japan. And that's taken me to France. It's actually taken me to Italy. It's helped me allow my brother to move here to Japan with me. And we're actually trying to start a small business. And it's just so funny, like something that didn't give me money has given me other value. And that leads me to the idea and concept of the escape plan and escaping the rat race. So, yeah.